Hello everyone. Today we're going to do some pruning on the elm trees. I've got two elm trees that I'm going to try to get trimmed up today. The main goal for today is to go through and maybe eliminate any branching that's growing down or growing up. The lower branches on these elm trees I'm going to let continue to elongate and just do a little snipping up top. But before we get started, let's take a closer look at the tree and then we'll begin. This is what will be the front of the tree. There is some damage that occurred here, and I have recently gone in and kind of nicked that callus around the side there in hopes that it would stimulate some more callus growing there. And then we got a nice curve to the trunk here. And then here is part of the scar left over from the trunk chop that occurred many years ago, and then it goes on up through the apex. So I want the bottom branches to continue to thicken, so I'm not going to do any pruning on the length of these branches. I will go in and take some of the branching that's growing down or growing up, some branching that might be on the interior a little bit. I might do a little cleanup on some of that. But for the most part, the length of the branches I'm going to let grow so they will continue to strengthen thicken the branches. Once we get up here closer to the apex, I will trim some of this back a little bit further just to kind of help keep the upper branches in a little more a better branch and trunk ratio. Kind of got a straight line running up here. I'll take a look at that when we're in there, see if we don't need to cut this back a little further. If we need to, when I get it cleaned out, I will do that. There is, you can see here where I cut last summer. So this tree has been in this pot for a couple years now, I believe. I take that back. This is one of the first trees I repotted in one of my first videos. I'll put the link to that right here. But it's been over a year since the repotting, and it's pretty much grown unchecked since then. I'll kind of set my camera up and I'll get started. I know it's a good time of year to do this pruning because the new growth is all hardened off. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to start with this branch here first. And like I said, anything that's kind of growing up or down, I'm going to eliminate. So I'll just go through here real quick and snip these off. When I'm talking about branches growing up, see how this one's kind of just going straight up vertical here. We just need to eliminate that so it doesn't interfere with the rest of the branching. Now once I want a lot of these branches to elongate. The further out they go, the more resources are flowing through them, so it'll continue to thicken this trunk. These lower branches need a lot of work, so I'm hoping that through this process and some proper fertilizing that we'll continue to work towards that goal. The other thing I'm looking for is if there's multiple branches coming out of the same area, I'm going to snip those back just to prevent maybe some extra swelling going on in just that one area, so it doesn't create like an inverse taper effect. After these branches grow out and we achieve the thickness on the trunk that we want, we can cut these way back. So most anything out here I'm not too worried about, but anything that's kind of back into the interior, I'll just kind of keep that in check so the light can get all the way through the canopy of the tree. I'm finding branches that are growing back towards the interior, I'm removing those as well for that same reason, just to Be sure we allow plenty of light to get inside. More examples of little branches that are growing straight up. And you can see when we go in here and get these cleaned up, how much just a few snips really kind of opens all that up. That's going to allow more light to get inside. And I think it's also going to let more air pass through the thing too. So you should be getting to see areas I've already worked on, how much more open that is and how that still looks pretty dense. And this is just the cleaning part. This hasn't been doing any structural pruning or anything. So you can see how important it is just to make that quick cleanup cuts, and how fast that could change the look of your tree. I mentioned I wanted to leave a lot of growth to elongate on the bottom, but if we can see back in here, there's a branch that comes off and comes all the way across the side here and into this group of branching. That's not going to serve any relevant purpose, so something like that we can eliminate as well. So we'll just go back in here, cut it. Same thing here, there's a branch that comes across that's not going to serve any useful purpose, so we'll clean that off. Got it cleaned up. I'm sure I'm going to come across more as I work. Now what I'll be doing is looking for forks in the tree, so when the branch comes off and splits into two, I'll prune back to there, help build the ramification of the tree. So I'm going to move up into this part of the tree. So I'm going in here, I'm looking for where the branches split, and I'll cut them back to where they can help build ramification of the tree. Now we know we can do this because this year's growth from the spring has already hardened off, and which will allow, when we make a cut, for it to back bud. And I'm still thinking as I'm working, I'm still thinking about this length of the branch that's quite straight. I have some wire with me, and I've got a flexible branch back here that I could turn into the new apex. Right off the bat, I've been thinking about this becoming the new apex, but that's not going to help with this problem. And if I can cut this top off, it'll at least shorten that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and just cut it off right here. I'm going to cut it a little bit high to leave a stump there. And then here in a few minutes, I'll get some wire and I'll wire that up. The other thing I'm looking for on this elm, down the branch lines, the leaves alternate up the branch, or along the branch, and I can look at those leaves and see the direction that the leaf is facing, and I'll cut back to a leaf that's growing in the direction I want the branch later to grow. That's where the bud will be, the new bud that will then pop, and that way I know if I'm building a pad, I can help direct through pruning where the branches are going to grow to help lay out that pad in the future. And so that's what I'm setting this tree up for now. You can see it's getting much, much thinner up top. Okay, so here's what I'm looking at. This branch comes up and it splits right here. Comes down. See how the leaves alternate up along this branch? This leaf pointing that direction will take a new stem or a new branch that direction and not into compete with this. So when I cut that, can't probably do one-handed. I'll clean that up. Now this branch will go that direction, and see I've got a couple more leaves back down the branch. If this dies back or something happens, I've got some more leaves back there. What we're looking at when we're talking about ramification, you see this branch comes off and it splits into two here, and this one comes down and will split into two here, and this comes up and then kind of has a branch off to the side. This one comes up, and then this is something that we'll go back and shorten sometime. As a matter of fact, I could probably just cut it off now and probably get a new bud. I'll probably end up cutting that back a little further because it's got that funny knuckle on it, but we'll see what happens. See, as we're looking here, come up the branch, it splits, and it splits, and it splits, and it splits. Now this is one of the bottom branches that we're growing out to help bring vigor into this bottom part to thicken up the branch. So eventually one day I'll probably end up cutting a lot of this off and starting back over. Back here somewhere, I'm sure. But this is just a good example right here. Split, split, split. Okay, I'm gonna grab some wire and see if I can't help this in an upright position to form a new apex. Okay, I've got some aluminum wire here. This is kind of all I have on me right now, and I think it'll work. So what I'm going to do is I'll combine this branch and this branch, or what I mean by that is I'll use this branch as an anchor for the wire, and then it'll go up around this branch and pull it upright, and that should hold it just fine. And it looks like that should be plenty of wire there to anchor it. And then I'm going to come around, catch that bottom side of that branch that I want to become the apex. And I've already bent this wire so it's not bending as well as I would like it. And I also wish I had a smaller gauge wire. Okay, but that's going to hold it upright for now. Put a little bit of twist to it. There. Okay, so I got this wire wrapped around here, and I've got the new apex growing in an upright position. We can let that continue to grow. I'll probably go through this a couple more times just looking at it. So this is pretty much where I'll end the video on this. So if you want to leave some comments about what kind of a wiring job I did on that, feel free to put that in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'd appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments how many and what kind of elm trees you were growing at your place. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon.